This is the forest behind my family's farm. The forest habitat is dominated by trees, young and old, and is constantly changing through the process of succession. Grassy fields turn into thicket and shrub covered old fields. Eventually, these old fields change to young forests as the trees grow and start to shade out the thicket and the shrubs. These old fields and young forests are essential to many animals. They provide a wide variety of food and shelter for animals. The succession from field to young forest can take 30 years or more. Once a young forest is established, the trees begin competing for resources as it changes into a mature forest, which can take another 70 years or more. At first, you will see the sun-loving trees dominate the young forest. These are called the pioneer species of trees. Trees like birch, aspen, and cherry are common at this stage as they need sunlight to germinate their seeds and for the trees to grow. But over time, the pines, maples, and other trees that can tolerate shade begin to outgrow the pioneer trees. They grow faster and taller and eventually will shoot up through the forest canopy and begin to shade the pioneer trees. The pines dominate the forest for about 100 years until the trees begin to die of old age. As the pines begin to die, sunlight is able to reach the forest floor again. This gives an opportunity for trees like beech, hemlock, and hardwood trees like oaks to grow. These are called the climax species. These trees are also tolerant of partial shade and poor soil, so they are usually the dominant species in a mature forest. In New Hampshire, beech trees also dominate in many forests because the climate is favorable for them to grow. They can also grow new trees through their root systems, and they are not a favorite food of the deer, who will eat the seedlings of the competing trees. These species will remain dominant until there is a disturbance that brings the succession back to the beginning stages. These events can be wildfires, tornadoes, which you can see the tornado path near Northwood Lake on Route 4 from a tornado in 2009, hurricanes, and logging. The forest behind my family farm had strip logging done about 10 years ago. You can see in the picture that there are many small beech trees growing in the clearing with a few pines and hemlocks. These beech trees will dominate the area eventually. Currently, about 80% of New Hampshire is forest. In the 1600s, when New Hampshire was first settled, about 90% of the state was forest. The settlers cleared land for towns, farming, and logging, and by the mid-1800s, only about 45% of the land was forest. But farming in New Hampshire is hard. The soil is rocky and not fertile enough, so many of those early farms did not last and the people left. Those fields underwent succession and became forest again. When walking through the forest, keep an eye out for an old rock wall. These walls were most likely once the edge of the farm fields. At its climax, the forest is a great habitat for many animals. Deers are numerous in the New Hampshire forest. It provides a good habitat for them to hide. They come to the field in the morning and the evening to feed. The turkeys roost in the trees at night and forage on the forest floor during the day. Because of the deer and turkey, we have coyotes. I see their tracks following the deer trails. New Hampshire forests are also home to bears and moose. Porcupines feed on twigs, roots, and berries in the summer, and in the winter they eat the needles of the evergreen trees and the tree bark. There are also rodents like chipmunks, squirrels, and mice in the forest. They feed on the seeds of trees. Owls hunt these animals. Bobcats also live in the forest and feed on the small mammals like skunks and rodents. Dead trees provide homes for porcupines, skunks, mice, and other small animals like salamanders and insects. Woodpeckers make nests and feed on the insects in the dead trees. Mrs. Lena was lucky enough to see a pileated woodpecker in action during a walk in the forest. The next time you go for a walk in the forest, look around and think about how old that forest might be. Are there any rock walls around? Listen and look for signs of the animals. You might hear a gobble-gobble of a turkey and the pecking of a woodpecker. Or you might see some cool tracks in the dirt. There are many animals out there, but they're good at hiding in the forest.